So we're back here today with TJ, and we're going to do some glue pull repairs. We're going to start it off with a steel repair on a wheel lip of a Buick Cascada. Got a pretty good shot. So why don't we come on over and take a look at the damage and really talk about the difference between a conventional repair and what we hope to do with the glue pull repair.
Sounds good, Gene. So I do see the dent right here on the body line of the quarter panel. Now I know that I want to attack this by removing the paint from this area, being a conventional technician myself, feather it out, probably have some sand scratches, so my primer is going to be about that big, which is going to leave the blend area for the refinish team to about that big. So what are some of the advantages of using the GPR system to help me be more efficient?
Sure. So one of the first things we really noticed was, like you said, you come in and the first thing you're going to do is remove paint. So essentially you're creating damage to repair damage. Our first move is to reduce the size of the damage. So everything we have in the system, glue pull repair as a whole, is made to respect the paint on both sides of the panel. So our first is do no harm. We want to make the dent smaller. Besides efficiency though, we have a couple of things that really helps glue pull repair shine. And that is, first and foremost, no damage to the back side of the panel. So conventionally, you're going to grind it off and you're going to stud weld. That creates potential issues for corrosion. Now we have okay access here, but we also have some foam hiding down in here, which now in that scenario could become a safety issue, right? We've all heard horror stories of a panel being welded or stud welded on and the foam catching on fire, and that's a bad day.
I may have experienced that myself in the past.
I see. So with glue pull repair, we are essentially a cold repair the whole time. Even our hot melt adhesive, we're talking 350 degrees, so well below that. That seems to be 400 degrees is the mark. We're well below there. And really, even with that, by the time we get to the panel, we're down into the 200 degree range before it gets there. So we're going to shrink your repair. We're going to leave the paint on the car. We're going to leave more paint on the car. No worries about corrosion and no chance of fire starting inside of the panel. So those are some of our advantages. Now, let's come on over here, and I want to talk a little bit about the process, and that's really what it comes down to. So with glue pull repair as a whole, it comes down so much to following the process. When we can follow the process, we can get strong, effective pulls every single time, right? We can go to a trade show. I can be at SEMA for days and do pull after pull after pull without a single failed pull. And that's because we follow the system. So in here, we call it the 6 C's. And I'll tell you that this card I'm handing you here, when we do tech support, I still have yet to have a tech support call I can't solve with the card. If there's a problem, we just go back and I figure out which step you missed in the process, and we go back and make it right.
Excellent.
So
that'd help a technician like myself.
Exactly. And you're pretty new to glue pull repair here. So the way we're going to work today is I want to talk about the process and sort of prep you through here and go over everything before we're live on the repair when timing becomes an issue. So I'm going to walk you through and coach you through it. And then when we go live into the repair, doing the actual repair process, I'll go ahead and coach you through each step and show you just how walking through the 6 C's makes it happen.
Excellent.
Right? So the first step is clean. We want to have a clean panel. Most of the time, all we need is a 99% isopropyl alcohol here. If the paint had transfer or some scratches, scrapes, or maybe even looks like it just came out of the detail shop and maybe it is a ceramic coating, we would maybe there start with just a good aggressive rubbing compound. So the whole process, or the whole idea behind that, is to just get down to bare clear coat. As soon as we're down to bare clear coat, we're good. And our last step of cleaning is always the 99% isopropyl alcohol. We never want to use anything petroleum-based, no acetones, no thinner. Plastic is petroleum-based. It can attack the tabs. Keep it out of the mix, for sure. Our next C, or the next C in the steps, is check. So probably the biggest or the most overlooked thing in a successful glue pull repair is temperature. We want to work in between 75 and 85 degrees. Now, I promise by the end of this video, these guys are going to be tired of me cueing them on what the temperature is. but it is just absolutely so important to stay inside of that temperature range. So what is it?
75 to 85 degrees.
Perfect. Now, on the first heat on any panel, we also want to address and make sure that there's no humidity in the clear coat. So clear coat is porous, and it will pull humidity out of the air. If we don't evaporate that, when we come in with our hot glue and we go to the panel, we could actually end up with a layer of water in between the glue and the clear coat. That's not going to be good for adhesion. So on our first heat, we want to heat to 120 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay.
One time, that's it. That'll cover you on everything except for the most hot, humid, thunderstorm-filled summer days.
Luckily, we don't have that today.
Good, yes, and we're in a great controlled environment. But we are constantly going to be checking our temperature the whole entire time. Our next step is choose. So there's a couple things to choose here. We want to choose what kind of glue we're going to use. We've, in our system, simplified that down to 2 glues. We've got a collision glue, which in the collision space, I would say 99% of the time, that's what you're going to use. We also have a gray, which is a fast set glue. Think hailstorm, and you've got a unicide that is in for conventional repair, not paintless. If we can save you 20 seconds a pull, and you've got 50 dents to fix with multiple pulls, that's where that speed comes into play. Also, if you're in an uncontrolled environment and we go above 85 degrees Fahrenheit, we want to switch to the high temp glue. That will actually work more like the collision glue on those hot days. So very simple to choose that. Then our lifting device, we've got a few to choose from here. So we've got bridge systems. So this is our K-beam and the K-beam Junior, a simple bridge, right? 2 points of contact with a lifter in the middle, a thread that pulls it up. Down to our K-bar, which is probably where I'm going to lead you on this repair over here. Okay. A simple leverage tool. It's nice and fast and easy to set up with plenty of power. Think of it a lot like your hustle stick or your pogo stick, right? The only limitation on this is your amount of leverage and how hard you can pull. Into, of course, slide hammer, right? Probably where right after beat it out with a hammer, the next tool to be born was a slide hammer. Simple movement there. Down to where it sort of all started for us, and that is the robo lifter or the mini lifter. Very small, easy to control. We're able to work up the dent nice and easy. As we come closer to finishing this dent, we'll be moving to something like this. We also have some different feet that we'll talk about today where we can actually turn this tool into a couple of different tools. And now we're sort of on to choosing our tab.
Looks like you have a good assortment. What are the differences you have here?
So first, shapes and sizes. So across the board, we have from 15 square inches down to 5 millimeters and everything in between. What we want to do there is we're trying to find a tab that matches our damage, or if we're trying to restore a body line, a tab that is shaped like the body line. So now with that, while we're talking about tabs, it's probably a good opportunity to talk about the different materials we have. So we have 2 different materials here. We have the translucent or the ice material, and we also have the original blue material. There we go, perfect. So the ice material pulls actually about 25% stronger than the original blue, but it has a downside. So if I take this, it will flex in one direction wherever we want it to go. It'll get down into a dent plenty deep. However, if we get any kind of complex shape, if we try to twist it, it just wants to fight back to flat. Cars are complex shapes, right? We've got complex curves all over the place. This will make the tab actually want to shear away. Whereas with the original blue here, we get that same flexibility this way, right? But to conform to anything, it doesn't, in fact, it even wants to sort of hold that shape. So in essence, what we're doing, if we decide on a complex dent to go with the original blue, the more flexible material, is we're giving up a little bit of pulling power, but for more staying power. Having that flexibility where it will come up and work with the dent as it comes up, that lets us stay on the panel longer. So deeper, more complex dents, we want to go with a flexible material. As we begin to shallow out, we can go to a more rigid material where we don't need that complex bend. Does that make sense?
Does, yes.
Perfect. And then last but not least, as we're in the repair process, is you're going to need to knock your highs down. So if there is an impact, there's displaced metal somewhere, whether it's a large crown or something subtle. We sort of want to take whatever knockdown device matches the type of damage we're trying to knock down. So if we've got a tight little high spot, we don't need to come in here with a big dinging spoon that's going to spread the hammer blow out. We'll come in here with something smaller, like our Black Swan. And this has all kinds of interchangeable tips. And again, as we move through this repair, you'll really get to see quite a few. So with that being said, without spending hours talking about the products here for sure, give you a good overview. I think it's time to come over here and we're going to talk through the repair first. Then we'll come over and pick everything, and then we'll go ahead and fix it. Okay. So let's come back over here to the dent. Now, in our C's, right, we were at clean, check, and choose. So we're talking about tools. Now we sort of need to choose where and how we're going to fix the dent. Now, this does bring me to one of the few fundamental changes I've found between glue pull repair and conventional auto body repair, or even paintless repair like I do, and that is in dealing with the body line. So we don't always want to go to the deepest part. If there's something stronger in the panel, we want to address that first. So in here, we've got a body line right through the middle of the dent. That is what we want to bring up. If you were going to come in with your stud welder, or I were going to come in with push tools and bring that up, we would want to attack the body line directly, right? So part of the magic with glue pull repair, and I'm going to use this is way oversized for what we're going to do. Part of the magic with glue pull repair is our surface area. What we found is if we take, and sort of oversized here, if we cover that body line up, we've got plenty of pulling power. It will pull the dent up, but what can happen is that surface area will actually hold the body line itself down. So we might get this whole big thing to move and create a tight little pinch right there. The fundamental change is, instead of directly on the body line, we go right next to it. And then with that being said, that means we have to make a choice on which side. So based on, I told you we want to put strength back in and stronger, what side of this do you think we might want to go on?
Probably on this side where it's a little bit shorter and closer to the edge of the panel.
Exactly, and that's exactly why. Given that this dent is fairly evenly spaced on both sides of the body line, all things being equal, we want to go to or most things being equal, we want to go to the stronger side of the body line. So you are absolutely spot on there. And now our body line is curved. So if we want a tab shaped like what we're trying to put back in, when we come back over to the cart, you're going to look for one of our curved tabs to see what we can fit in there. I do want to take a side note here real quick. We're not going to see it on this repair, but I do want to talk about it because we're talking collision, and in collision, things get hit hard. If there is something structurally damaged in the repair, like in this case, let's say it were hit a little bit harder in this wheel well we're pushed in, you would want to address the structure part of this first. We sort of call it like squaring up the panel, and that may not be with glue pull repair. If this were pushed in here, the first pull, the first move may be a body hook of some sort to straighten this edge up. So restore your structure to the panel, then strongest, then deepest. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Good deal. And then moving into coat, in fact, we'll do a little side note here. If I can get a tight shot of coating a tab, it's a mistake that I see guys make all the time. And that is, let's get on camera here. So we want to fill the tab completely with glue. And when we say that, guys or technicians seem to want to try to fill the whole thing up with their gun. So they'll start doing lines of glue like this, or even up and down the tab here. What that does is actually leaves room for air pockets. Very simple to fill up the tab. We simply want to come to the end of the tab, go right in the middle, and get a nice bead, just like that, and run up the entire tab. Side note, if you're going to miss with the glue, put too much on. The only thing that will hurt is slow your dry time down just a hair.
Okay.
Okay? So not back and forth, but just a great bead right down the middle, just like that. And then our next C is correct. and that is simply correcting the damage. So bringing the lows up and knocking the highs down. Now there are times where we can do what we call a double action move, and that is we're actually bringing the low up and holding some tension, and while we're doing that, we're able to affect the highs or the crowns and knock them down at the same time. Anytime you can get metal moving 2 directions at the same time, just magic happens. So it's bring the lows up, knock the highs down, and then we're down to our last C, which is continue, and that is continuing the repair process to wherever you want to be. So if we make one pull and you say, hey, we're ready for body filler and you're out, you're done with glue pull. If you say, or if I say, hey, I'm going to take this thing all the way to paintless, we just go right back to the top, clean, check, choose, correct, continue, on through as far as we want to take the repair. So any questions on the process here? We sort of got you walked all through it.
Yeah, no questions yet, except for maybe which tab am I going to choose to glue onto this panel?
Sure. So remember we were talking about a tab shaped like your body line. We've decided that we need to attack the body line. So we're going to want a curved tab that goes there. Why don't you come on over and look at the tabs so we're not fumbling through, and see if you can pick a few out, and we'll come over and do a test fit and see what you think. So we've got curved and straight and flexible and rigid.
Here's some curved ones right here, I see.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. So let's go over and let's take a look and just see how they line up on the panel. So you see that curve is actually matches the radius right around this wheel well incredibly well.
This one does look kind of large.
Yes.
Besides the middle pulling point here, is there an advantage to either one of these?
So yes, so these are both the same width, 10 millimeters, I believe. The difference here, let me see if I can show the camera, is going to be surface area. So we've got all of these teeth or pins. Essentially, we can slide an adapter on here and pull a larger surface area with the tab. Whereas with the same tab here, it's going to pull the whole face, but it's going to concentrate the pull more into the center of the tab. So we can use the tab to sort of pull the shape we want to pull. I'm going to push you towards this one on the first pull. I think that's going to give us our best move right through the middle there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, so here's that. We'll move these out of the way. And we'll get you a new stick. We're not quite ready yet. We got to stop. We're going to start at the top and follow our process. Right?
Which would be the first C.
The first C, which is?
Clean.
Correct. Yes, you're right. So we're going to come in with some 99% alcohol. I don't really see anything on the panel that would make me feel like we need to polish it out. It didn't feel extra slippery or anything. So clean. What's our next step?
Check.
So we're going to check a couple of things, and I slipped up in talking through it. First thing we want to do is check our temperature of the panel. And where do we want to be?
Between 75 and 85 degrees.
Correct. And where are we at?
72.5.
72. So we're a tick cold. Now, if you remember, I also said on the first heat, there's a number we need to go for to get rid of that humidity. Do you remember what that is?
120.
Yes. Now, before we start, and we sort of alluded to this, we want to know what type of material we're working on.
We do know that this is steel.
So it is steel. So that is another part of the check process, is what type of material. So it is steel. We're going to do aluminum a little bit later today, but on the steel process, I just want everybody to know that this is a steel panel, and we know that going into the repair. So we've got it clean. We've checked it. We need to heat to 120. So you've got your infrared gun. We just need to heat right where we're going to work. So just like that.
There we go.
120. Now also, I like to take the heat gun and just take the chill off of our tabs. So our tabs are room temperature as well. It doesn't need to be even 85 degrees. Just warm it up and take the chill off. So we'll clean. Okay. We checked, and we've chosen that we're going to use our flexible tab with a curve shaped like the body line. We're going to use collision glue. So you're close on that stick. I'll probably feed you in here in just a second. So now hold that perfectly flat, and then one end to the other, probably about a 1/4 inch bead right down the middle. Now the glue we also want the temperature right. So I've got this set to between 190 and 200 degrees Celsius. That is smoking hot, so go ahead and get that on here. I want to go right up to the tab, and you want to set it down just like you're setting a tile on the floor. There we go. Good deal. Now just hold that there for 15 seconds. Because that glue comes out so hot and viscous, if you just go right to it and then turn around, it will actually just let it slip down. So you should be good there. Now while that's setting up, and our setup time on that tab should be around a minute or so.
Okay.
Let's come on over and grab your lifting device. So I think I sort of already coached you along
Yep,
to the
I think
K-bar.
the K-bar is what we're going to use.
And then we're going to need an adapter. So the adapter is what grabs onto the tab.
Okay.
So let's try this. So test fit that one on, and you want to always pull in the center of the tab. Yep, I think that's going to be great. So our dent is about, like the deepest part is about here. Mm-hmm. That adapter is going to be perfect. So go ahead and set that on your K-bar. Just use the thumb screw to lock it in place. Now our dry time might be just a tick longer because this is the first pull or the first heat. So you're coming down from that 120 degrees. Before we start setting it up, go ahead and hit it with your temp gun and see where our temperature's at. And where do we want to be?
Between 75 and 85.
Yes, and where are we at?
94.
94. So we're getting close. It's coming down. We're not quite there yet. That is, however, firm enough that you can start setting it up. So you can dial in. Your leverage point's going to be the tire. There we go. So is that good, or do we want to slide this down just a hair so you can loosen this knob and get that wherever you want it to be? So like there. There we go. Go ahead and slide that off and check your temperature again. You should be really close and about ready to go. 89, 90, we're really getting there. So I'm going to get in here so we can really get that distortion showing up on camera for you. So you can see this move. Yeah, there it is, right there. 87, 88. So you're 86. We're good. You go ahead and set up. So slide on. Now, I know a lot of body techs tend to be a little bit more aggressive. You've got a lot of pulling power here. Just ease into this nice and slow. I'd rather see you make 2 or 3 pulls than one overly aggressive pull. So go ahead and start to add a little bit of tension. See how that's moving already? You want to pull out as straight out as you can and move to your left just a hair. All right, move your adapter to the left. Left a little bit more. There we go. I'm getting a little bit of separation, but that's okay. How's the dent looking? So really take a line of sight down the edge and see how much we've shrunk the dent.
I think it's about half as big as it was before.
All right. Do you think so? We've not over pulled yet. That's what we don't want to do. So you can go ahead and pull a little bit more. And I can see the glue is coming loose a hair, but we're pulling awful hard. That's okay. You were actually, I don't know if the camera could see that or not. You were pulling hard enough that you were actually compressing the suspension of the car when you were coming down. So we released. Now our release agent for the glue is the exact same isopropyl alcohol that we use to prep the panel with. So that's plenty, and then just grab the edge and it'll peel right off for you. So what I want you to notice, so we got a good pull. I don't know that it was 100% as strong a pull as possible. The way that glue came off, it wanted to crack and break away a little bit. I think on that upper left side, we actually got a little bit cool. So a good, effective pull, not quite maximum. If we're going to get nitpicky about the pull, we may have wanted to pull just a hair sooner, or it was heated a little bit unevenly. But how does that look to you over there?
Pretty good already.
Pretty good already. Good. How's our body line back up? I want to sneak in here and take a look. So it looks like, from what I can see, our body line is pretty well restored for the most part.
Yeah, I bet if I started feathering that, it'd be about ready for glaze.
Perfect. So what we do is to continue the repair process on, right, the 6 C's. So we did all of that, and then we made a correction, and the correction here was we brought the low up. It seemed like the crown sort of walked right into where the dent was. Now we go right back to the top. if we want to continue this and go a little bit further. All right, so now, right, you made that first pull. It really shrunk the dent, probably 50% or better. We restored the body line, and now in looking, we want to attack that low spot above the body line. So we want something shaped like the body line. We're still working on that strong area, but we can make it for a smaller tab. So looking through, I actually want to point you right back to one of the tabs you grabbed out of the gate that you thought might be a good fit. So what this is one of our dead center tabs. So what makes these a little different is on your original tab, you had a big spine like this on the back, which pulls the whole face up. The dead center, we've been able to take and make the spine of the tab thinner, and that allows the face to actually flex up. So we're gonna cheat a little bit, and I told you we can't go on body lines. With this, because it's so small, we actually can get right up on it, maybe even on the body line and get it. But what this does is, as this pulls up, it lets the tab face flex up and pull just on that spine. So I'm not gonna make you dig through everything. I'm gonna point you right to this tab. So here you are.
Well, let's give that a try.
All right. So now, just like I said, we are gonna start right at the top and work our way down through.
Well, it's 73. Is that still good enough?
What numbers are we supposed to be between?
75 and 85.
Correct. So we're going to go ahead and warm it up. And just anything above 85 is fine. So we can warm up beyond, and then that'll actually give us time to talk and let it cool down. So where are you at there?
90.
90? Yep, that's great. Now also take the chill off of your tab. Good. Now I am going to force you to clean the panel one more time, but in theory, when we released the glue and wiped it down, that was a clean. But to really drive home just how important this process is, I want you to clean the panel off.
Is it important to clean the tab at all?
If you've got a lot of residue, yes. These tabs are essentially brand new, not such a big deal. What you do want to do is when you clean it with alcohol, make sure all of the alcohol is evaporated away before you put that glue on, or it's essentially trying to release itself right away. Same thing, we want to coat edge to edge. If you're gonna miss with the glue, use too much. All that does is slow you down a little bit. Now, because this glue is so hot, you're a little thin here and here. Go ahead and put a little bit more. Watch you get a little drip coming down once you get your finger warm. Yep. Just glue right in the middle and it'll all squeeze out when we go to the tab. Perfect. And now with the dead center, we can come a little closer. So I want you to go on the top, curve that way, and you can bring that spine almost down right to the body line. Go, and we're going to set it just like we're in a bed of mortar. I'll hold that in place. Same thing, we'll hold this in place for maybe 15 or 20 seconds just to let the glue begin to set up. Now, while it's doing that, a question we get is, if we get a tight shot here, how do we know when the glue is ready? So it goes through a couple stages. In the beginning, it's sort of stringy like that. If it's stringy, that is way too hot, and we want to make sure that we don't pull yet. The next phase, see how it's beginning to milk up a little bit here? And you can't see that on the gray glue, but on the collision glue you can. It will stop being sticky, but we can move it around. See how we can sort of move the glue?
Yep.
Once we can't move it anymore, and it sort of just springs back and gets nice and firm, that's how we know we're ready to pull.
Okay.
Now with your lifter, I don't know that we need to use this big lifting device. You can, but because our dent is smaller now, we can move to a smaller lifter. So what I would say is maybe let's take a look and see how this is going to fit on there. So you're not quite ready to pull yet, we're still too hot, but see how that's going to fit. So that's our robo lifter. You're able to slide on. Those feet are on a ball and socket, so these will move right around and sit down in there. And then this just takes your slack out here, like that. Now, if you really want to concentrate the pull, we can actually switch your feet, because we've got enough room, to our crease feet here. I think this might be a little better play. So we can take these and get that same move on that same lifter and hold the metal down completely around there. So it's just a ball and socket, so just twist and pop it right out. There you go. Yep. Now you'll notice there's a wide side and a narrow side on here. We want this wider side out. That'll leave us a little bit more room. Yep, and just pop it straight on. Same thing with that one. Yep, good. Now go ahead and get dialed in there. And with that ball and socket, you notice how they just conform right to the panel and let us hold everything in. Take this, take all of your slack out, so you're getting maximum leverage off your handle. Now slide that out of the way, give it a quick temperature check to see if we're good. My gut tells me we're good, but I want to make sure we're not pulling on a hot tab.
75.
Perfect. So now this is an incredibly strong lifting device. Even though it's small, it's concentrating all of your power right to the middle of that tab.
Don't
You want to sort of
smaller
like
pulls.
massage it up a little bit and then slide it off and take a look around the tab to see how that's flexing everything. Really a ton of power. Now, what you want to look for is looking down the panel with your reflection. You're looking for low distortion. If it still looks low next to the tab, we can still pull some more. If you don't see any more low, we want to stop pulling because we're just pulling a high spot at that point.
I think it looks good.
Good? Perfect. So now we can release. The easiest way to release is we say release under pressure. So go ahead and soak that with the alcohol. Yep. And then put your lifter back on and just hold some tension. We just need to let that alcohol get into the tab and it'll release right off. There we go. And then go ahead and peel your glue away. Now what I want you to notice is we did not pull that to release until we were ready to. You've got more power and control than you need. Here, we can get a little bit more alcohol in there and clean the rest of that. So your thumbnail works great for sort of just loosening that up. So see how much that brought that back? So I'm a paintless technician by trade. As a body tech, where are you at on this repair? What more does it need for you to be ready to move to your body repair?
Well, if I'm going to just hit this with a DA sander, glaze it, prime it, and then ship it off to paint.
So you're ready for a glaze coat. So if we just pause and think about that for a second, we took a dent that and show me on the panel how big that originally was. Your original dent was this big. Now we're down to what? And in just 2 pulls, a matter of, well, I don't think we've been working on this for more than 15 or 20 minutes.
And if I was more proficient with it, I think I could have done that a lot quicker.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you at this point are ready for a glaze coat. So let me just hop in for a second, and I just want to talk through the process of if we wanted to go further.
Okay.
So when we're teaching, we actually teach on a continuum. So a continuum is like progression through a process. So at the low left of our continuum would be like just rough in. So maybe your first pull with the big bar and the big tab would be on the rough in side of things. In fact, I think we were probably in body filler close to glaze after 1 pull. Moving forward, really with this system, you could go as far as paintless. And that just comes down to the technician's skill set, or more like a metal finish, if we're talking in body technician terms. It's essentially the same process that we just did. We go right back to the top and we just continue down making smaller and smaller pulls. So if we were going to finish this out, we would attack this low here and this low here, and it looks like I've got another low there, and just continue to shrink those down. We've readjust our body line. We could knock down that little bit of a ridge there and certainly get it to call it a primable repair, and potentially with the right technician at the helm, a complete paintless repair. So any questions on what we did here? And what do you think? I think this is your first day experiencing glue pull repair.
First time,
What are your
and
thoughts?
I wish I had this at my disposal when I was a technician.
Awesome.